Creating professional Lego building instructions isn't just an art. It's a skill that turns your creations into something anyone can build. In this video, I'll break down the 3 essential steps to create instructions worthy of an official Lego set. You'll also get a sneak peek into Studio's step creation and page design interfaces. By the end, you'll know exactly how to start building your own instruction booklet. Let's jump in. Welcome to the second week of BRICKSBIZ training. In the first week, we learned how to create a 3D model for just about any Lego MOC. In this second week, you'll learn how to create professional building instructions. By the end of this week, thanks to BRICKSBIZ training, you'll have building instructions on your computer worthy of being in an official Lego box. In this first lesson of the week, I'm going to explain the 3 main steps involved in creating quality building instructions. In this lesson, we'll also take a quick tour of Studio's Step Editor interface, as well as the Page Design interface. First of all, let's look at the 3 key steps involved in producing quality building instructions. The creation of professional building instructions is generally divided into 3 phases. Phase number 1, creation of a 3D model. Phase number 2, breaking down the 3D model into logical blocks, i.e., building steps. Phase number 3, creation of the building instruction booklet. Thanks to the first week of BRICKSBIZ training, you're now an expert in 3D model creation and therefore in the first phase. This week, I'm going to give you the keys to becoming an expert in the next 2 phases, dividing the 3D model into building steps and creating the building instructions booklet. Let's, however, start with a quick warning. Although you'll often have no choice but to update your 3D model at a later date, it's a good idea to make sure it's as complete as possible before tackling the building instructions. If you haven't yet completed the 3D model of your MOCs, I invite you to try to do so this week in parallel with the training on building instructions. When I say building instructions, some of you may still find it hard to imagine what we're going to achieve by the end of this week's training. So let's take a quick look at what we'll be producing as a result of this week's lessons. On the screen, you see excerpts from building instructions for an official Lego model. Typically, all building instructions include a set of step-by-step instructions enabling the person who has purchased the Lego box to follow them in order to build his or her model. Typically, Lego building instructions come with a cover page, an inventory of the parts needed for building, usually found at the end of the booklet, and of course, a set of step-by-step instructions for reproducing the model. For each of the numbered building steps in the booklet, Lego reminds you of the parts to be used, and sometimes gives you additional information about the size, dimension, color, or reference of the parts to be used in each building step. Finally, Lego building instructions usually include additional photos or advertisements for other Lego models. Let's go back to Studio software interface. In one of the very first lessons of the course, I explained how you could easily switch between the building interface and Studio Instructions Maker interface. As a reminder, to access the Instructions Maker interface, click on the Instructions button on the software toolbar. This takes you to this interface. Click on the Exit button to return to the building interface, where you can perform 3D modeling. Let's go back to the Instructions Maker interface. Within this Studio interface, you can also easily toggle between the Step Editor interface and the Page Design interface. The Step Editor interface will help you to divide your 3D model into logical blocks, in other words, a sequence of steps in the building of your model. This corresponds to Phase 2 of the overall process I described earlier. The Page Design interface will help you create your final booklet of building instructions. This is the third and final phase of the overall process I described earlier, but we'll come back to this part in more detail later in the course. First, let's look at the different areas of the Step Editor interface. The main area of the interface is the one that occupies the largest part of the screen. This is the model viewing area. This area allows you to retrieve the 3D model you have designed in Studio Building interface. In this area, you can move the camera in the exact same way as in the 3D modeling area of the building interface. To the left of this area, you'll find an overview of the various building steps. As we'll see later, you can divide the 3D model you've created into different steps. These will be displayed in the area on the left of your screen. If your model already comprises several steps, clicking on a particular step will bring up the 3D model in a building state corresponding to that step within the viewing area. If, for example, your model has 2 steps and you select the first one in the left-hand area, the 3D model displayed in the viewing area will only be partially shown. Similarly, if you select the very last building step in the left-hand area, your entire model will be displayed in the viewing area, just like the 3D model displayed in the modeling area of the building interface. Just below the viewing area, you can see a list of Lego parts. This area displays the list of parts and submodels added during the step you've selected. Only parts added since the previous step will be displayed in this area. If you select a different step in the area on the left, you'll see that the list of parts at the bottom of the screen changes according to your selection. Just above the left-hand area is a step management bar. This bar enables you to navigate more quickly through the building steps, as well as creating a new step. By default, the steps displayed are those of the main model. If your 3D model includes submodels, you can also modify the building steps of these submodels from this management bar. We'll come back to this point later in the course. At the very top of the interface are the menu and the toolbar. You may notice that the toolbar is context sensitive. In other words, it has changed from the toolbar we saw in Studio Building Interface. The menu offers options for managing files and adjusting parameters. The toolbar allows users to undo or redo actions, offers tools for part selection, just as in the 3D design area, and allows users to return to the building interface. Above the model viewing area at the top of the screen is another step navigation bar. This bar allows you to move forwards or backwards through the steps. It displays the current step number and its name if you've given it one. Step navigation works in the same way as the buttons in the left-hand area. Finally, in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll find viewing options that let you change camera angles or hide or highlight parts from previous building steps. We'll be coming back to each of the interface's functionalities in this week's lessons. Let's go now to the other interface of the instructions mode, the page design interface. I'm doing just a quick break in the video to let you know that if you're enjoying this free training, you're going to absolutely love the full BRICKSBIZ training course. BRICKSBIZ full training course, this is more than 25 hours of online content, an exclusive membership to a private Discord community full of business experts, a lifetime access to monthly live sessions, and tons of templates, bonuses, marketing strategies, and automation scripts to turn your passion for Lego bricks into a profitable business. It's completely risk-free to try. You have 14 days to explore the program, and if you're not satisfied, you'll get a 100% reimbursement. No questions asked, though I'm pretty sure you won't need it. So if you are looking for more information, just follow the link that appears underneath this video. I let you get back to the content of this free BRICKSBIZ training course video. You access it by clicking on the Page Design button. You can then easily switch between this interface and the Step Editor interface. Let's look at the information you'll find in the Page Design interface. Much like the interface we've just seen, most of the screen is taken up by the central area, which gives a complete overview of the current page content. In the same spirit as in the previous interface, on the left-hand side of the interface, you'll find an overview of the various pages of our future building instructions. If you haven't made any particular changes in this interface, the number of pages displayed should correspond to the number of steps in the previous interface. But you'll find that this is no longer the case once you've finalized your building instructions. The number of pages will very often differ from the number of steps. Just above the page preview area, you'll also find a page management strip. This allows you to navigate more quickly through the pages and to create a new page, which will be empty by default. You'll notice that the page design interface is busier in terms of content than the step editor interface. Above the main area, you'll find a toolbar that lets you influence page content and structure. Using this toolbar, you can, for example, lock or unlock pages, perform updates to the layout, or insert objects into the selected page, such as images, text, or arrows. On the right-hand side of the screen, we also find a large panel that lets us define a whole range of actions and parameters to modify the format of the selected page or of all the pages in the future instruction booklet. This is the most useful part of the page design interface, as we'll see in a future lesson. As in other Studio interfaces, at the top left of the screen are a menu and a toolbar, again, both context sensitive. This section lets you manage your files, adjust your settings, perform actions, zoom in on the page, or switch to one of Studio's other two interfaces. Finally, in the top right-hand corner of the interface, you can edit the final layout of your building instructions and export your building instruction booklet in electronic format. Once again, we'll be coming back to all the features of this second interface in more detail in this week's lessons. So now that we've taken a quick look at the two interfaces' structure, we'll be deep diving into their content as part of this week's lessons to create professional building instructions. Before moving on to the next lesson, it's important to ensure that you have understood the three main phases involved in creating building instructions. I invite you to open your Studio software and navigate between the building interface and the instructions maker interface. Once you're familiar with this navigation within the software, I'll let you move on to the next video, in which we'll talk about the best way to divide your 3D model into building steps. See you in the next video. This video was taken from the BRICKSBIZ training course. If you'd like to discover the full richness of this training course and learn how to create and develop a business around your Lego, you can follow the link that appears just below this video. You'll be able to join a community of experts and generate your first dollars in less than 4 weeks. As for me, I'll see you in a new free video on the BRICKSBIZ YouTube channel. You can watch the video by clicking on the link on the screen.